Hi guys, I'm back with another lecture of macroeconomics, and in this lecture we're going to talk about the income determination model by Keynesian theory. Okay, so before we start, just a brief introduction. So myself, Sandhya Rao, working as an assistant professor at St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. So far we have covered the topics in which we have done consumer behavior, then cyclical and secular consumption, and the different income hypothesis theories given as absolute, relative, and permanent income theory. Now, in this lecture, we're going to talk about the simple Keynesian model of income determination. So let's get started. Okay, so yeah. So this theory was given by John Maynard Keynes, and this is a very basic model of income determination in which we assume that there are only two sectors: the household and the firms. Now, all the variables which we are going to study in this are in short run, which means that we are going to talk about the income determination in short run. Second thing is that there's a constant price level, which means that the price level will not be changing. The stock of capital, the techniques of production, and the efficiency of labor, size of population, the form of business organization have also been assumed to be constant. And here we are assuming that the level of income depends upon the level of employment, which means that if we are increasing the labor, then we will be able to increase the income. Okay, because when we add on to our labor, we'll be having more output, and that will lead us to earn more income. Now we all know that the level of employment depends upon the aggregate supply and demand forces. So when there is an excess demand for any commodity, we'll be requiring to produce more, and for that we'll be requiring more labor. So you can say that there's a direct relationship between the level of income and the level of employment, and the level of employment subsequently depends upon aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Now here there are two methods of calculation of the national income. One is the aggregate demand and aggregate supply method, and the other one is savings and investment method. So first of all, we'll start with the aggregate demand and aggregate supply method. That is known as ADAS. Okay, so we'll start with the ADAS method. So in that, AD means the aggregate demand. Now, we all know that in a two sector model there are two types of demand. कोई भी demand जो होती है वो दो ही type की होती है, या तो हमको goods को consumption demand होती है, या फिर there's a demand for capital goods. Capital goods को हम investments बोलते हैं. Okay, so there is a demand for consumer goods, then there is a demand for capital goods. So we can say aggregate demand is equal to consumption plus investment, where consumption is for the consumer goods and investment stands for the capital goods. Okay, so this is AD, which is aggregate demand. So if you could see here, I have written it on the top, AD is equal to C plus I. Now, again, if we talk about the consumption, okay? If you could see this equation again, AD equals to C plus I. Now here C, which is the consumption, depends upon the level of income. Okay, so consumption is a function of income. And also it remains more or less constant in the short run. Okay, there is not much or significant change in consumption in the short run. अब ये short run में क्यों ज़्यादा change नहीं होता है, इसके लिए we have already covered the three theories. हमने absolute theory में भी पढ़ा, then we have done it in the permanent theory also and in relative theory also कि वो short run में consumption function change ज़्यादा क्यों नहीं होता है, ठीक है? So consumption curve can shift in the short run with the change in government policy, that is fiscal policy or monetary policy. अब क्योंकि यहाँ पे we are assuming it to be a closed economy, two sector economy model पढ़ रहे हैं, so that is why there won't be any significant changes, and also हमने बाकी सारे factors को constant रखा है. Even if there is a change in consumption curve, then that will only be because of the change in government policy. अगर government अपनी fiscal या monetary policies को change करती हैं, only then there will be a change in the consumption curve, which means that if government increases the rate of taxes, अगर government ने tax rate increase कर दिया है, then ultimately the consumption level will go down. And similarly, if the interest rate has been raised, in that case जो हमारी investments हैं वो बढ़ जाएंगी, ठीक है? People will be more inclined to invest more, and ultimately again उनकी जो consumption है वो फिर से down चली जाएगी, ठीक है? And similarly, if the interest rates have been put down, अगर reduce कर दिए गए हैं, in that case the consumption will go up and the investment will go down. Same is the case with taxes. If the rate of taxes has been reduced, then in that case the consumption will also increase. So these are the only two conditions in which we assume that the consumption curve will shift in the short run. Otherwise, the consumption curve will remain more or less constant. Now, the next part of AD was investment. Okay. Now here, investment does not directly depend upon the level of income. Okay. So it remains constant. There's a constant line. You could see there's a horizontal line which is parallel to the x-axis, which means that for any given income level, the investment will remain same. Even when the income is y1, even when the income is y2, even if the income is y3 or y4, the investment is same. So you could see for different levels of income, the investment is same. It's the same horizontal line. Okay, so the investment is not changing. Now this means that investment does not directly change with the level of income. Now what does that mean? Investment depends upon two factors. One, the marginal efficiency of capital. Second, the rate of interest. Now, अगर हमें rate of interest ज़्यादा मिल रहा है किसी भी investment को करने से, then definitely हमारी investment जो है वो change होती है. But this rate of interest is not the driving force. ये सबसे ज़्यादा major driving force नहीं है जिसकी वजह से investment या बढ़ती या घटती है. The major reason behind this is the marginal efficiency of capital. That is the expected profits from the investment. अगर कोई भी बिजनेस इन्वेस्ट करते हैं किसी भी इन्वेस्टमेंट में, तो उन्हें अपनी वर्थ या उनकी जो वेल्थ होती है वो कितनी इंक्रीज होगी, दैट इज द मार्जिनल एफिशिएंसी ऑफ कैपिटल एंड दैट इज द ड्राइविंग फोर्स, मेजर ड्राइविंग फोर्स. ठीक है, तो इफ मार्जिनल एफिशिएंसी ऑफ कैपिटल इज इंक्रीजिंग देन डेफिनेटली द इन्वेस्टमेंट विल इंक्रीज. ठीक है, सो वी से दैट अगर इन्वेस्टमेंट बढ़ रही है या कम हो रही है, then the two reasons behind that is marginal efficiency of capital or the rate of interest. But income cannot be categorized as a specific reason or a direct reason because of which the investment will increase. ठीक है, so investment income की वजह से directly नहीं affect होती है. Now डायरेक्टली इफेक्ट नहीं होती है, ठीक है, बट इनडायरेक्टली इफेक्ट हो सकती है डेफिनेटली, बिकॉज सारी चीजें इकोनॉमिक्स में इंटर रिलेटेड है. तो अगर कोई चीज डायरेक्टली किसी चीज से अफेक्ट नहीं हो रही है तो वो इनडायरेक्टली उस चीज से जरूर अफेक्ट हो रही होती है. So now let's see how it gets affected indirectly by the level of income. Now let's say that the level of income have increased. Now in that case the demand will also increase. When the level of income increases, the demand also increases. क्योंकि हम चीजों की डिमांड ज्यादा करते हैं because we have more purchasing power now. So with that increase in demand, there's a favorable effect on the expectations of the entrepreneurs that they will generate more profits now. ठीक है, आपने इनकम आपकी इंक्रीज हुई, आपने मार्केट में जाके चीजों की कंजम्पशन जो है वो चीजों की कंजम्पशन के लिए डिमांड जो है वो बढ़ा दिया. ठीक है, अब बीइंग एन एंटरप्रेन्योर और बीइंग अ सप्लायर और बीइंग अ प्रोड्यूसर, आई विल एक्सपेक्ट टू इंक्रीज माय प्रॉफिट्स नाउ, क्योंकि मेरा प्रॉफिट अब बढ़ने वाला है बिकॉज पीपल आर डिमांडिंग मोर. In that case, the rise in profit expectation, and we all know जो ये rise in profit expectation होती है इससे हमारी investments जो है वो बढ़ती है. And if we know that our profits are going to increase and the profit expectation will increase, that will increase the marginal efficiency of capital as well, and which in turn will increase the level of investment. So this is how investment is indirectly affected by the level of income. Now it is quite clear that investment demand does not directly depend upon the income. It is only affect indirectly by the changes in income. ठीक है, so अगर आपकी income बढ़ती है, your demand will increase. Now when there is an increase in demand, there will be a favorable changes in the profit expectations of the entrepreneur, and that will further increase the marginal efficiency of capital, which in turn leads to an increase in level of investment. All right, so let's understand this with the help of an example. Okay, so this is the aggregate demand and income relationship. So on the x-axis we have kept the income, and on the y-axis we have the aggregate demand. So if you could see this 45-degree line, this is the y, which is the income line, and if you could see this green line, this one, then here this is the consumption curve. Okay, which is represented by a plus by, where a stands for the autonomous consumption, b stands for the marginal propensity to consume, and y stands for level of income. Now, we all know that aggregate demand is equal to C plus I, that is consumption plus investment. So this is the aggregate demand curve, okay? And this difference, because this line is the consumption curve and this is the AD curve. So this difference, this gap, this parallel distance between these two curves is represented by the investment, okay? Now if you could see, this is the point of intersection of AD curve and the income curve. Okay, so we can say that this is the point of intersection where AD equals to Y. Okay, all right. Now the next component of national income is the aggregate supply. Okay, so there are two important constituents of aggregate supply, or you can say the aggregate output. The supply or output of final consumer goods and services in a year. Second is the output of capital goods which are sold, which are also called the producer goods because they help in producing further goods. All right. So in a nutshell, we can say that aggregate supply or aggregate output is the summation of consumer goods as well as capital goods. ठीक है? जो भी आपने प्रोड्यूस किया है विद इन अ ईयर वो किस किस टाइप की प्रोडक्शन होती है, या तो कंज्यूमर गुड्स की प्रोडक्शन होती है या फिर कैपिटल गुड्स की प्रोडक्शन होती है. So aggregate supply is the summation of consumer goods and capital goods. Okay, तो इन्हीं दो चीजों से आपकी aggregate supply जो है वो बनती है. Now national income is the same thing as national product, and we also know that national income is nothing but the national product. We have done it in the first unit that national income को हम कैसे कैसे calculate करते हैं. We can calculate it by GDP, we can calculate it by NDP, and in all these related concepts, the thing that was common was the product. Which means कि जो भी आपकी income होती है, that is nothing but the total product which have been produced in a year in any economy. So national income is the same as national product. So Y, which is the national income, can be written as aggregate supply. So Y is equal to aggregate supply, and aggregate supply further depends upon capital, labor, all right, and technology. So T stands for technology, K stands for capital, and L stands for labor. Now we can write that Y is equal to consumption plus savings. Now why we are saying this, that Y equals to C plus S. जो भी हमारी income होती है, either we consume it or we save it. Okay, so that is why income or aggregate supply can also be written as C plus S. जैसे हमने एग्रीगेट डिमांड में लिखा था C plus I, which means कि जो भी हमारी डिमांड क्रिएट होती है वो दो ही चीजों के लिए होती है, या तो कंज्यूमर गुड्स के लिए होती है या फिर इन्वेस्टमेंट गुड्स के लिए होती है, यानी कि कैपिटल गुड्स के लिए. सिमिलरली यहाँ पर जो हमारी इनकम होती है या तो वो कंज्यूम करी जाती है या फिर वो सेव होती है. सो Y is equal to C plus S and Y is equal to AS, which is aggregate supply. So we can say aggregate supply is equal to consumption plus savings. Now, Y is equal to C plus S. In this case, when there are three conditions, there can be negative savings also, there can be positive savings also, there can be zero savings also. Now, when can we have positive savings? Positive saving तभी होंगी जब हमारी income is more than the consumption. Or we can say when the consumption is less than the income. अगर हमारी income is 100 rupees and our consumption is only 50 rupees or 40 rupees, then our savings will be पॉजिटिव. ठीक है. सेकेंडली अगर हमारी इनकम जो है वो कंजम्पशन के इक्वल है, इन दैट केस द सेविंग्स विल बी जीरो. हाउ? लेट्स से माय इनकम इज 100 rupees and I'm consuming the entire 100 rupees. So in that case my savings is zero because there is no money left. There can be negative savings as well. When can be negative savings? For example, my income is 100 but my consumption is 120. So in that case 20 rupees will be my minus 20 will be my savings. So that is negative savings. Now let's understand it again, like how we can derive it. आपका एक और concept आएगा, the relationship between NPC and NPS. वो क्या होता है? So we know that Y is equal to C plus S. So अगर कोई भी there is a change in Y, then that will be equal to change in consumption plus change in savings. Okay. And if I divide this equation by change in income, then you can see that this is a new equation that we're going to get. Okay, so this is change in income upon change in income, change in consumption upon change in income, change in savings upon change in income. Now this becomes 1 because change in income upon changing income gets cancelled, so it becomes 1. And we all know that change in consumption divided by change in income is nothing but marginal propensity to consume. Similarly, change in savings upon change in income is nothing but marginal propensity to save. So we can say that 1 is equal to C plus S. Now this C is this C is small c and the S is also small. They are denoting MPC and MPS respectively. So this is the equation that you have to remember. That means 1 is equal to C plus S. This is the most important equation. Okay. Moving ahead, derivation of the savings function. We all know that the income is either saved or consumed. So savings can be written as Y minus C. Now, we all know that, the C function can be written as C dash, which is the autonomous consumption, plus marginal propensity to consume into level of income. So this is the formula for consumption. Now, I have used this formula, use this equation in this equation. Okay, मैंने ये value जो है C की इस equation में put कर दिया. So now my equation have been reframed this way. So in this you can see Y, which is the income, minus the autonomous consumption, minus small c, which stands for MPC, and this is the level of income. So if I take Y common here, then the equation will be reframed in this way. And 1 minus c is nothing but the small s. So savings function is this, minus consumption plus the savings function and this. Okay, all right. This is autonomous consumption. Okay, I forgot to put this mark here. So I hope it's clear now. So this is the savings function, minus of our autonomous consumption plus marginal propensity to save into level of income. So 3 equations are there which we have to remember throughout the question, throughout the concept, throughout the unit. This one, and this one. That Y is equal to C plus S when we talk about savings. Okay. All right. Moving ahead. This is the savings function. So this is the diagrammatic representation. So if you could see here, the above one is the consumption and income representation, and in the below diagram, we are representing the savings and income. So on the x-axis, we have kept income in both the diagrams, and on the x-axis in the first diagram, we have consumption, and we have savings in the second, the below one. Now this 45-degree line is the income line. Okay. Now, if you could see here that this is the consumption line, okay, and we all know that consumption always starts above the origin because this gap represents the autonomous consumption. I have told you this, that this gap, this triangle, this one represents this savings, because here the consumption line is above the income line, which means consumption is more than the income. And in this case, the savings will be negative. So if you could see here, if I draw this diagram, then you can see that the savings are negative. This represents the dis savings, okay? And this triangle is nothing but the same triangle, this one, okay? And this is the point of equilibrium where the consumption is, or the break-even point where the consumption is equal to the level of income. And this is represented here in the savings function at this point. After this point, you can see that the savings is increasing. Okay, savings is positive here. And when are savings positive? When the income is more than the consumption. So similarly, in the above diagram, you can see that the income is more, income line is above the consumption line. Okay, the income line, this is the income line. This is more than the consumption line. And similarly, savings have become positive here. So this is the representation of savings function graphically. I hope this is understood to you all. Moving on, this is the schedule. So equilibrium is established when aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply. Okay. So in this schedule, let's just do it. So, all right. So in this case, the investment level is already given to us. It's autonomous investment. We have kept the investment constant. So it's 200, 200, 200 at all the levels of income. Okay, income is changing from 0 to 800, but the level of investment is constant. Okay, the consumption is increasing, starting from 200 to 250 to 300 to 350 to 400 to 450, 500 and 550. Now, if we have to, let's say, find out the aggregate demand and aggregate and the savings, how we are going to do it. So let's just do it. I'll remove these two figures and we'll get to know how we are actually doing it. All right. So see, we all know that consumption at zero level of income represents what? It represents the autonomous consumption. So at zero level of income, we are having consumption of 200. It means that the autonomous consumption is how much? 200. Okay. Also, we know that aggregate demand is nothing but consumption plus investment. So if you could see here, it is written over here, AD is equal to C plus I. So to find out the aggregate demand, we'll add the consumption and investment. So 200 plus 200 gives us 400. 250 plus 200 gives us 450. Okay, likewise 300 plus 200 gives us 500. 350 plus 200 gives us 550. 400 plus 200 gives us 600. Okay, so this is how we have calculated the aggregate demand. Now, the next thing is we have to calculate the savings. Now, savings is nothing but income minus, sorry, savings is nothing, savings is nothing but consumption, the level of income minus the level of consumption. So we can reframe it from this above equation, y is equal to C plus S. So if the income is 0, the consumption is 200, the savings will be negative. We have just done it. When income is less than the consumption, there will be negative savings. So here the savings will be minus 200. Now here again, income is less than the consumption. Income is 200, consumption is 250. So minus 50 is the savings here. And in this case, 300, 300, both are equal, so the savings will be 0. And moving ahead, you can see that income is increasing constantly and consumption is also increasing, but income is greater than the consumption. And that is why we have positive savings from here. After this point, all the savings are positive. Okay. So I hope it's clear to you. Now, equilibrium is established when the level of the aggregate supply is equal to aggregate demand. Okay, or you can say when AD equals to the Y, because Y represents aggregate supply. So 700. So at first income is 200, but the AD is 450. Okay. At 300 level of income, the AD is 500. When the income is 400, the aggregate demand is 550. When the income is 500, it's 600. When it's 600, it's 650. But here, when the income is 700, the AD, which is aggregate demand, is also 700, which means that this is the equilibrium level of income. Okay. I hope it's clear to you. This is how we have done it from the schedule. We can do it with the help of a diagram also, ADAS equilibrium. So this is the consumption function, and this is the aggregate demand, and this gap between these two lines is nothing but the investment, and this Y, which is the income line, or you can say the aggregate supply. All right, now this is the point of intersection between the AD and AS curve. So this is the point of equilibrium. So if I draw a line, perpendicular line on the x-axis, then this will give me the level of income at which I'm having equilibrium, or at point at which I'm operating an equilibrium. All right. I hope it's very much clear to you. There is one more approach of doing it, which is the IS equilibrium, or you can say savings and investment equilibrium. Now, this is the savings function, and it always starts from the right side of the origin. Why? Because savings function is negative. Okay, it starts from the negative point, because consumption always starts from above the origin, which represents that there is this saving. So that is why जो आपका सेविंग्स फंक्शन होता है उसका एक्चुअल पॉइंट जो स्टार्ट होने का होता है वो नेगेटिव एक्सिस से स्टार्ट होता है, नेगेटिव एक्सिस ऑफ वाई एक्सिस. ठीक है, so that is why we always started from the right side of x axis. All right. So ये आपका savings function है. Then the green line represents the investment, and at the point at which the savings are equal to investment, that is your equilibrium point. Now, what do we mean here? This point, this if you see this portion, let me do it correctly. If you could see this portion, what does it mean? Now here, investment is more than the savings. What does it mean? When investment is more than saving, it means that आपका consumption जो है वो ज़्यादा हो रहा है. ठीक है? You are consuming more, your savings are less. And when your consumption is more, it means that you are creating more demand for the consumption. And in that case, the producers will be inclined to produce more. So output will increase and national income will increase. Now, after this point, after the equilibrium point, you see that the savings are more and the investments are falling. Or you can say that the investments are less than the savings. Now, what does it signify? It means that consumption is falling now, because when savings increase, consumption will ultimately fall. In that case, the national income will reduce. Why? Because your consumption have reduced, and when there is a low consumption, people or the producers will be discouraged to produce more. Okay, they don't want to have idle output, idle capacity नहीं show करना चाहते, वो अपने पास stock नहीं pile up करना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि stock उनकी demand नहीं हो रही है, बिक नहीं रहा है. So in that case, output will be reduced, and अगर output कम होगा तो ultimately the national income will also reduce. So यहाँ पर जब तक आपकी savings कम है, अच्छा है आपके लिए, which means अब अगर आपकी investment ज़्यादा है savings से, it is a good sign. National income will increase. But if your investment is less than the savings, then that represents loss of output. ठीक है? And उस केस में आपकी national income भी down होगी. All right. So this is the same explanation that I have done just now. कि अगर आपकी जो intended savings है वो कम है investment से, if you could see here, if the intended saving is less than the intended investment, then in that case people are spending more on consumption. Okay, and आपका जो output है वो increase होगा. But अगर आपकी spending जो है वो कम हो जाती है, which means अगर आपकी savings जो है वो ज़्यादा है investment से, in that case your national income would decrease. So I hope it's clear now. So this is about the income determination in two-sector model, which was given by John Maynard Keynes. Okay, so let's do an example quickly. So we have to calculate the equilibrium level of income for the given consumption function, and the investment is given as 2000. So ये हमारा consumption function दिया हुआ है. This 50 represents the autonomous consumption, this 0.5 represents the marginal propensity to consume, and Y stands for the income. And investment हमें दी हुई है 2000. अब हमें पता है कि equilibrium level जो होता है, that is AD equals to AS, which is equal to Y. ठीक है? All right. तो जब AD AS दोनों equal होते हैं तब हमारा equilibrium होता है. अब aggregate demand किसके equal होता है? C plus I. Now C is given as this 50 plus 0.5 into Y. And जो हमारी investment है वो हमें दी हुई है 2000. तो मैंने उसको reframe किया, 2000 plus 50, this is 2050, and जो ये आपका 0.5 Y है, इसको हम इधर Y के साथ ले आए हैं, which is Y minus 0.5 Y. तो ये आपका 0.5 Y आ गया, and this is equal to 2050. हमने 50 को 200 को 2000 को add कर दिया. So this gives me Y as 4,100 rupees. So 4100 is your equilibrium level of income. Okay, so this is how we can calculate the income from the ADAS approach. Okay, now this is the question that you're going to do, which is very much similar to the example that we have done just now. So calculate the equilibrium level of income and the total consumption for the given consumption function, and investment is 2000. Now here again you will be calculating the equilibrium level of income. Once you have calculated the income, you will put that income in this equation and you will get the consumption function. Okay, this is how you're going to do this question. So this is it for today's lecture. Thank you guys.